ready to make the final paperwork at our next meeting to vote on it. So this is the last time we will be doing suspending the voting procedure. So would someone like to make a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to suspend the voting procedure for this evening's meeting. Sandy, would you call or vote, please?
Councilperson McGinty?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. The next thing, we are going to strike from the agenda tonight under 5 projects. A, the Sac City facade project. We are not ready to move forward. That has to go to legal counsel to have them take a look at and review before we act on that. So that, we are going to strike that from our agenda. Okay, now, number 2 is, do any of you council members have any conflict of interest on anything on our agenda this evening?
No.
Okay, with that, we will move forward to item number 3, which is consent of agenda. A, approval of agenda. B, approval of the minutes of the June 24, 2014 council meeting. C, claims.
I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda. I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the consent of agenda, approval of agenda, approval of minutes of the June 24th council meeting, and claims. Would you call for a vote, Sandy?
Councilperson Brennan?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
McGinty?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I neglected to welcome everybody to our meeting this evening. Thank you for coming. You may comment on the items on the agenda as they are shown here, and also item number 6 this evening is the citizens' opportunity to address the council on items not on the agenda. So we will move forward with number 4, public hearing. Now is the time and the place for the public hearing on a possible vacation and sale of a tract of land located on North 88.98 east of 22 of West 44, Lot 2, Block 18, original city of Sac City, Iowa.
And there have been no written comments.
Okay, are there any comments from the audience this evening? Curtis?
Do you have any idea what the taxes would be on that after it's reassessed with no building?
I have no idea.
The current,
Is
no, this is
Nope.
this is for the shoe store downtown. The current taxes, I think, are about $170 a year, and I think the building that was there was assessed at under $1,000, and the property value is about $4,000. So if you do the math, you might take off at most 20% of the $160, $70 taxes a year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other? Okay, someone would like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to close the public hearing. Would you call for a vote, please?
Councilperson Harry?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
McGinty?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
Rooney?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, now we have we need an introduction to the reading of ordinance number 2014-259 entitled an ordinance authorizing the vacation and sale of a tract of land located at North 88.98 of East 22 of West 44, Block 2, Block 18, original city of Sac City, Iowa.
I'll make the introduction as read just now by Mayor Powell.
I'll make
Someone
the
else?
motion.
Pardon me?
I'll make the motion.
It's been made. We
So
need
he
to.
had the
You
intro.
introduced it, yeah,
Right,
I'm
I'll
sorry.
make the
You
motion.
make the motion.
Second.
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the first reading of ordinance number 2014-259. The ordinance authorizing the vacation and sale of the land which was formerly known as the Matt Shoe Store, and now it is a vacant lot on Main Street. Is there any other discussion or questions regarding it?
I guess one thing I might say, just looking at it, maybe as a model to what we would like for people in the town to do, the sidewalk in front of it isn't really great. Maybe we should replace the sidewalk before we sell it. I mean,
Yeah, it's actually dangerous.
I mean, I would, maybe maybe that's something that we should I don't know if we can do that as a form of the motion, but I mean, I think if we were to replace the sidewalk there, it might be, since we're the property owners of it, it might be setting a good example to the people. I mean, to other people, and in talking to Adam, he thought that probably material cost would be about $500 in city's workers' comp.
Okay, I will make a note, we can't do anything about it this evening because it's not on the
Right.
agenda, but I'll
I
make
guess
a
what I'm
note for
saying
him
is
to
that-
place it on the agenda the next
Mhm.
time. Okay,
I mean, and I think in the, if we do that before we sell it, that might be a nice,
might be an incentive for
Incentive for
somebody
someone
to
to
buy
buy
it
it.
too.
You know, on the other hand, too, if we put the sidewalk in, you're talking about in front of the building. You know, if they construct anything, perhaps that might interfere or not, might not build right in with their construction plans too. You know,
I guess I'm saying,
if anything is built there, but on the other hand.
Well, it'll be on the agenda next time, so,
Okay,
you
all
know,
right.
okay? So now we're ready to vote on it.
Councilperson McGinty?
Yes.
Randy?
Yes.
Bruni?
Yes.
Perry?
yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Item number 5, project is eliminated, so we are gonna move on to 6, citizens' opportunity to address the council on items not on the agenda. If there aren't any, we will move on to 7, miscellaneous. A, Crystal Hanrahan to address the council regarding sidewalk regulations.
You know, before we start, I'd just like to make the comment of, you know, we're gonna be voting or considering, you know, on the sidewalk thing. I think what we need to really do is review the, you know, sidewalk policy going forward and decide if in fact we want to keep the sidewalk policy in force, and if so, to perhaps look at modifying it. And I know Tom and I were talking a little bit earlier today that if an isolated one piece, and you might explain that, Tom, but I would almost be in favor of tabling it at this time so that we can look at it and decide. I think the question is at hand is do we want to have a sidewalk policy in force? And if so, you know, I think we should enforce it, you know, judiciously and straight across the board for everybody.
It has to be one that can be enforced, and I think there's been some questions, and we need to actually look at the sidewalks out there in the community and have better information before we go forward and make a decision.
Well, there's a lot of streets that absolutely have, like, on Gishwa, there is one sidewalk on it. Many parts of town, there's on one side of the street, not the other.
Right, and
As
there's a
far as
lot of
having one in
bad
the middle of the block,
sidewalks.
I guess my philosophy would be is if one of the adjoining landowners or on that block put in a sidewalk that would actually hook up to where, say, Crystal was building, we need to have an ordinance that say if it's a continuous sidewalk up to a given point and another one is added, we should have the following piece of property also have a sidewalk if we can do that by ordinance.
I guess what we're saying is that we aren't ready to really make you do anything right now until we really study the one we have on the books and make sure that it is enforceable and that it treats everybody in a fair manner.
Okay.
Okay, so that's it?
That's all of it.
Yeah.
Unless you know,
Have
have something
something that you
you know,
really
that
want.
you know, want to share with us that would, you know, such.
No, that is my issue, and like I said, I appreciate all you guys, all your efforts and everything, but I don't think everything is straight across the board or fair, so I appreciate that's recognized, and that you do need, whether it's to modify, you know, the current ordinance so you are able to do that, because there are a lot of new constructions that, you know, and that I've spoke with the homeowners and asked, you know, was this even mentioned to you? Oh,
Yeah, we do, there's some things that really need to be investigated, so that's why we're gonna take a look at it.
Playing devil's advocate though, at the time that she got the building permit, that was what was there, and we really can't go retroactively to what
But on
was.
the other hand, the other people that actually got a building permit prior to her, but still in the same enforcement period.
Well, then
Treat it
there's another
differently.
side,
Go ahead,
if you
Jeff.
change it, then the people that
Yeah,
didn't
let's
do
do
it
it.
before, you know,
Yeah, go ahead.
That's why I'm here. I think Crystal should not have to put in a sidewalk
Otherwise, all these other people that's been forgiven, clear back to Tom Mason putting in his house.
Well, it's
You've
more than that.
forgiven a lot of people for not putting in sidewalk. And I also remember, I think, who put the sidewalk in to the new elementary building up by Kids World and on both sides of the street there. I think the city put them in, if I recall right.
There's not a sidewalk in front of Kids World.
Across the street there is, but not in front of Kids World.
Not in front of Kids World.
No.
Not all the way across the street either, it stops at.
I meant coming down the other street.
Yeah.
Stops where?
Ketchum's property, doesn't it? The sidewalk doesn't go in front of Wallerstead's all the way to the corner, does it, on that side of the street?
Running east and west, there's sidewalk all the way.
Yeah.
Is there on that side?
And there was none but there. At the first half of block there was, but from the alley on, in front of Wallerstead's and where the used to be the administrator for the hospital lives, and then in front of Kids World and what's his name that's house caught a fire?
John,
Lewis.
John's
Yeah.
house. I think if I remember
I think there's
correctly, the
sidewalk on
city
that
put
side of the
that
street.
sidewalk all the way in.
I wasn't here, I don't know.
Well, at this point in time, I don't believe there's gonna be any decision made because it was brought to my attention that we do need to do some more work on this, so. There is no decision at this point in time, okay?
Can we, is there a way that we can make it so that she doesn't get any notices?
I don't think I'm gonna be getting any notices until there's a decision made. Is that right?
That's what, I believe,
That
that's
was
what
my
Adam said,
understanding.
until we come to
That's
some
what it
kind of
should
a conclusion on this, that they will not be sending out any notices.
Right.
That's the only
But-
fair way to do it right now, under the circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I was asking is to make sure that we weren't
Right. No, that,
increasing the inequity by not, so I mean,
right.
nothing is happening at this point.
Thank you.
Now, does P and Z issue those notices then?
No.
No,
This is a city ordinance, it's not a P and Z ordinance.
Okay.
Okay,
So 2 more weeks
pardon me?
to,
I
At
don't,
least.
we'll let you know, it will be at least 2 weeks.
okay.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Crystal.
Thanks, Crystal.
So then we'll put a review of chapter 136 on our next,
Yep,
Absolutely.
because there are quite a few things in there that I noticed.
yes.
Like,
It's questionable, because when, in reading through it, there's a lot of discrepancies in that, and if it's gonna be on the books, it needs to be enforceable all the way across the
And reasonable.
board. And
according to this, like, you can't write on your sidewalks in chalk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Lots of kids are
7,
upset about that.
miscellaneous B
Get them on.
is an update from Iowa League of Cities on state legislative sessions, and all Adam wanted me to tell you was that that is the final report from the Iowa League of Cities, and in checking through it, there are some really, there's some interesting changes, some of them are good. I would encourage you to read it. I don't know whether he'll make comments on it at the next meeting or not, but there's quite a bit in here, so be sure to take time and look at it.
Oh, yeah,
I glanced over.
You can
Chris.
have a copy of it if you like.
thank you.
Good
I was
information.
wondering,
Yes. Go ahead.
There's good information in there, I kind of read through part of it, and some of
Yeah.
this is addressed what we're talking about, so.
Right, and there's things about grants in here that it will inform you of money that might be available. There's a lot of things that are of interest in this particular handout.
One interesting, I thought, was the money for development of recreational trails.
Yes, I think that's really important that they have kept that, so.
And the
Curtis?
other one I thought was interesting was the fact that they seem to have an in perpetuity for backfill for the commercial property, but not the multi-residential property. Fortunately, we don't, fortunately/unfortunately, we don't have a lot of multi-residential property in town. Although I think that probably does cover Part View, doesn't it?
For what?
The multi-residential property.
I think so.
They appropriated $1 million for Iowa Great Places Fund projects that meet the definition of vertical infrastructure. I mean, there's a lot of things in here, good things in here. Curtis, yes?
well, I didn't know I was gonna get a copy. I was gonna ask if anything about advisory committees made it into this session.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I was wondering if anything about advisory committees made it into this session.
made it into this, no, I don't believe there's anything in here. I read the whole thing. I don't,
Okay.
Oh,
I mean, I'd have to go back and look for sure, Adam, or Curtis, I don't know. You can look through it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. 8 is public input on solid waste matters. Do we have any public input on solid waste matters, Curtis?
Opal News was reporting last week that the landfill decided to start taking glass again. Is that something you guys are going to take up and start publicizing, or?
it's in the reminder, isn't
Is
it?
it?
They ran an ad.
Okay.
Yeah,
They're taking glass for recycling?
Yes.
Yeah.
but
Oh.
it's
See, we've been
specified.
running, we've
I've
been
been-
running our recycling
Oh,
stuff
my
down to
gosh.
Carroll. Carroll takes glass. Up here at the Howard Center, they did not want to mess with it because it became detrimental or, you know, could hurt their people. That's why they didn't want it, so that's why we canceled it. But they have a market for it, so
I heard there was no money. I thought there
Well-
was no money in it.
not for the Howard Center. They didn't really
Oh,
go
okay.
after it.
okay.
Was
Well,
it-
that's good
Where
news,
Carroll
really.
has taken.
So now the county's gonna start
Yeah.
taking.
They have
Yes.
certain glass they won't
As
take,
of July
window
1.
glass and so forth, it's described in the paper.
Is the other part of it that they won't take plastic bags anymore? Did I read that someplace?
That was in there too. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't think the plastic bags was.
I don't think that was mentioned, was it?
I
wasn't mentioned in this.
No.
No, it wasn't in our discussion, but
It wasn't mentioned in the notice that the city got either.
No.
It, all it referenced was.
I think what you're probably looking at, you saw some of the stuff that Carroll does. That's Carroll's brochure. They take plastic bags.
Okay,
That's not ours, that's Carroll's.
okay.
Any other comments? Thanks for that information. It's time for the council forum. Is there anything anybody would like to discuss?
Well, they're working on I think it's well number 2 up by the golf course, which is between 9th and 10th Street. There's a sergeant drilling from Carroll's doing the work on it. They had to shut the power off on that block between 9th and 10th Street and the golf course down to Gishweiler. IPS was supposed to have notified the people, which in that area, which they notified some, but they didn't get a hold of all. And I know there were a couple of people that weren't or that had no knowledge of it, and one wasn't really happy about it. But that was IPS's responsibility, so they did evidently made one phone call and didn't leave any messages. They got a hold of at least one person I know of, 3 that I know of, but they did not get a hold of. But anyway, it's supposed to be off from 8 to 4:30, Monday through possibly as late as Friday, but they hope to be done by Friday. And I was just visiting with the men up there, and Greg Bruning was up there as well, and they said we're fortunate that we have to redo our wells about every 20, 25 years here, whereas a lot of communities without, that don't have nearly as good a water source are doing it every couple of years. So we're fortunate in that, but that's just something that has to be done routinely, on a periodic basis, and I think it's been about 25 years since we've done this one. And at the time that I was up there, it was going well. But that IPS has their power pole and transformer within like 7 feet of where the well is, and so they have to shut the electricity off. If they were 11 feet or more, they wouldn't have to shut the electricity off. So the well was there before IPS put their units in, so technically IPS is a little off, or is not properly installed relative to the well there, and that's why the electricity is being shut off.
I had a pretty long conversation with Steve Irwin, who is
Me too.
continues some of his unhappiness with the storm sewer issues up there, and I'm sure it's something we'll have to monitor.
He is making some steps to try to fix it himself, but he said he had water and sand blowing into his basement of his house up there.
On 16th Street?
The
duplex.
2
Gishweiler
unit.
Oh.
So,
Duplex on
Not
10th and Gishweiler.
Yeah.
They're duplex.
the duplex, yeah.
Yeah.
We also had quite a lengthy conversation with Rick Hecht, and I think that Adam is supposedly getting a contact from the county engineer, Hayden.
Ron Hayden.
Ron Hayden.
Ron Hayden.
They are quite interested in working with the city on South Fifth Street, and their policy has been that they will pay for the center 22 feet of redoing the street. And
He's telling me that too. He said we'll pay 22 feet into the city, so.
so that might be something, while we have this kind of, basically it's a grant
Mhm,
that we certainly want to pursue if possible.
mhm. He was gonna bring it to Adam to put on the agenda to discuss, I think, in the very near
Mhm.
future. Anything else? If not, I'd call for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. Sandy, would you call for a vote?
Councilperson Terry,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Brennan,
Yes.
Rooney.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Yeah, it's the shortest.